In this video, I'm going to be doing my September truck update. There's not a ton in terms of maintenance, modifications, and mileage to go over, but I do have some pretty big updates. So be sure you stick around until the end, and I will have another video coming out on Thursday that talks a bit more about this. Let's not get ahead of ourselves though. Maintenance, what did I do in the month of September? On September 9th, I did an oil change and I did all 3 fuel filters. So this was my first fuel filter change with the new setup. And by new setup, I mean I got the HSM upper and lower fuel filter, and it was unreal. Now, I think I did the math and I'm saving about $50 per fuel filter change because I went from spending $100 on the Ford kit to about, or it was like $120 depending where I bought it on the Ford kit, to like 50 or 60 with the Donaldson water separator and the Baldwin upper fuel filter. So it essentially cut the price for me to do fuel filters in terms of parts in half. And it also cut the time in half. It was like 10 minutes. I have never had such an easy time. You don't need a tool. You just get down there, you crack the water separator, let it drain. You don't have to like crack bolts or anything or dump the fuel on yourself like I did. Oh, I smelled like diesel for a while after that. But yeah, there's no faffing around with stuff. So I did my oil change in an hour, and like while I was doing the oil change and letting the oil drip out, I just quick went in, did the filters at the same time. So like the whole thing, oil change and doing the fuel filters, was 1 hour, which is awesome when you know just what your time is worth. Then on September 17th, I did the map sensor and the rear bump stops. So rear bump stops were not really necessary. I noticed I had some cracks in them because I've been taking them on and off when I, put my Timberens on. I don't know, I just was like, I want them to be nice. I don't want them to be cracked and rusted. So I replaced those. And then the huge thing that I had talked about in a video prior to this was replacing my map sensor. And I'll throw a photo up, but it is incredible the difference that the map sensor made. And so I replaced it about 184,000 miles. And as far as I can tell, it's the original map sensor. Did have a decent amount of carbon on it. And I know that normally if it like the sensor completely fails, you'll get a code. But something I've realized with these trucks, like when you get up close to 200,000, I feel like you almost need to just get on a schedule of replacing stuff like that like every 100,000 miles. And that might seem excessive, but it's an $80 part. Maybe that was like $90, but I mean, regardless, $90 part. Takes like 5 minutes to swap it out. So yeah, I did both of those because I just was like, I'd rather replace it. And the difference that it made with the throttle response is insane. I would say before you go buying a Banks pedal monster or whatever it's called, like replace your map sensor, because the truck just responded incredibly. And I got an extra like 1 mile per gallon too, just because now it's getting an accurate manifold like air pressure reading. So kind of cool. So I did the map sensor on the 17th, and then on the 20th, I went out and rotated my tires and greased my front end. So I have greasable ball joints, greasable drag link and tie rod ends. And obviously my U-joints are also greasable. I have noticed that it seems like there's a little bit of play in the joints for my front axles, the U-joints. So, I mean, those are almost at 200,000 miles. So probably just going to replace those when the truck gets to 200 because I will be using 4-wheel drive. But yeah, did the tire rotation, and I've been doing tire rotations every 3,000 to 5,000 miles. It kind of depends on when it's convenient for me. So I'll just try to get out, rotate the tires, and I have a new tool for that because my family was super nice and they got me a Makita 1/2-inch impact gun, and it just makes it so much easier. Now, unfortunately, there were no additional modifications made during this time in September. I've been kind of chilling out a bit on that, and I'm focusing a lot on doing stuff for the camper, for the hitchhiker. So I kind of reorganized my deck drawers and did a few other things, and yeah, no big modifications for the truck. And for a mileage update, we're at 187,231. So I've really only gone about 3,000 miles since the last month. And the big reason for that is what I had teased at the beginning of this video. I am no longer doing RV transport. So yeah, not towing trailers anymore. It actually came down to the fact that rates went down because it's definitely a seasonal gig. You know, people just don't buy trailers in the fall and wintertime. You're not gonna go camping as much in the wintertime as you would in the summertime. And so rates had been kind of near like $1.95 a mile, which is really good. And then they went like well below $1.70. And about $1.70 is what I found I needed to make per mile in order to justify the expense of doing it and to actually be somewhat profitable. And so I left on great terms, really like Wave Express. You know, they were like, you can come back anytime. So I think next spring I'm gonna have a look. I also happen to get quite a bit of video marketing work here in New Hampshire being home. And so I've been really busy with that. I wouldn't have been able to run a lot of trailers. So it just made financial sense. So the truck isn't getting as many miles, and I have gotten a little flack on YouTube Shorts from people who are like, well, you're never going to hit 1 million miles. It's going to take you like 15 years. And I mean, that's the whole purpose of this channel. I'm not going to burn myself out driving 100,000 miles a year just to, you know, gratify people who want to see a truck that doesn't have many miles. Like, if it doesn't make financial sense, this thing overall is serving my business needs and my personal transportation needs. And if, you know, I'm not going to be profitable driving all those miles through the wintertime and risking ice and snow damage and just all that, it's not worth it. So I'm going to do a kind of a longer video and go into more depth on the kind of the breakdown of my decision process for this, for the folks that are interested in RV transport. I still plan to do a lot of oil testing. Obviously, I recently had a big crash, and so I had to take a week off from screens and stuff just to give my brain a break and some time to rest, because I definitely had a little bit of a concussion. I ended up getting some stitches in my leg. But what I envision going forward is, obviously there will be less RV transport content until next season, when and if I decide to re-sign with Wave Express to do the kind of spring rush. That goes from the, I don't know, I would say like March timeframe through August is like the busy season for RVs, at least what I noticed, and when they were absolutely slammed and needed drivers. But I'm going to be focusing on some more just power stroke, like tips, general things for pickup truck owners. Also going to be doing a bunch more camping stuff because of the hitchhiker. I'm also going to do some videos on my hitchhiker build. So camping stuff, it's just one of those things where the content will kind of change with how my life is changing and how my work is changing. And I can't say enough how grateful I am for having you here and viewing these videos. I really enjoy YouTube, and I think moving into next year, I want to do more YouTube stuff and make my filming and what I do more about creating videos, because I really like doing that. I don't know if I would say I'd make a career out of it just yet. The channel's not quite big enough, but we'll see. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time here on Power Stroke Maintenance. Cheers.